Sure, we've got a piece on the website about the players who moved clubs last summer and having a look at their season so far.
And there were some big moves as well,
Yeah,
weren't there?
some big moves. Maybe the when we expected a quiet summer because of COVID and the pandemic and lack of money, etc., it was actually maybe one of the greatest ever. And now it's maybe a good time to assess their season so far, see who's done well, who hasn't done well. If we start with the two GOATs, of course, in Messi and Cristiano, who moved the same summer, one to Paris, one to Manchester. What have you made of Messi in Paris?
I don't think he's been at his very best. You know, his very best is going past 4 or 5 defenders and smashing the ball in the corner. He hasn't done that quite as much as you'd expect him to, but he's getting older. He's a different sort of player now. I see Messi as probably one of the best passers of the ball in world football. When he comes in on his left foot and he picks out passes, you know, he's a clever footballer now. Yeah. He's not quite the dynamic player that he once was, but that's because he's that little bit older. But he's changing his game. And I think he's done okay without being brilliant. I think probably PSG fans would have thought he was going to, you know, take them to the very next level. Well, he may do by the end of the season. Yeah. So I think he's done okay without being brilliant.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think 8 goals and 8 assists maybe in 22 or 23 games. Some of those passes, and especially the last couple of months, you saw the difference. He's fitter, he's better. I think he's more integrated in the way the team is playing and play at false 9, which I think helps him. With Cristiano Ronaldo, would you say the same? The goals are certainly there. Not as many as he used to score, but still a decent amount of goals scored, some very important ones for United as well.
Now, I thought it was a bad move for Manchester United when he signed, because I'd watched him at Juventus over the last 2 or 3 years. Yep. And he wasn't really getting involved in the games. I thought his work rate was fairly poor, and he became a very good header of the ball. So when crosses came into the box, that's what he was. And he was taking shots from outside the box just because he wanted to score goals when there was better options. So I thought it would be a slightly bad move. When I've seen him play, he actually looks fitter, you know, and this might surprise me, he looks fitter at Manchester United than he did when he was playing for Juventus. Is it good for the club? I'm not so sure, because it's difficult to integrate him into a team. Yeah. But he's done probably as well as I thought he would do. I thought he'd be a problem for Manchester United. He hasn't been a complete problem, and he scored goals in big games. Yeah. So he's done, again, like Messi, he's done okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's a bit in between the two, really, because you could see him as being a problem in the sense of the press and the counter-press, etc. But he's also been a solution the way he's won them some games and scored goals. Yeah. The most expensive transfer of the summer, I think, or one of the most, was Romelu Lukaku coming back to Chelsea for £100 million. That hasn't really worked out so far, right? We both agree on this?
Absolutely. When he signed, I remember doing a piece on FC, and they were saying where all the teams going to come. And before he signed, I think I had Chelsea as maybe third, fourth.
Me too.
And as soon as Lukaku signed, I said, no, put them up to second. Because,
put them first.
I still thought Man City would win. I said, put Chelsea second, and they said, why is that? I said, because Lukaku will make them a different side.
Me too.
I'd watched him for 2 years play for Inter, completely change his game, be the all-round centre forward, good with his back to goal, run down the side of defenders, be clever in the box, be the out-and-out target man for the way Antonio Conte played at Inter, to a player now that touches the ball 7, 8, 9, 10 times in a game and looks completely devoid of confidence. Yeah. I saw him against Plymouth Argyle, you know, actually in the person. I was at the game, and I couldn't believe his lack of movement. And he actually looked frightened of the game, frightened of touching the ball because the crowd were giving him a bit of stick. So he's been a massive disappointment. Not all his own fault, I would say.
No, I agree with you. Jadon Sancho is another one with a big move, the move that we expected the summer before from Dortmund to United. Started really poorly. I think the manager in Solskjaer didn't help. Now we see a much better Sancho. He was man of the match against Leeds at the weekend. I think Rangnick is getting slowly but surely the best out of him. And it's good because we know the talent is there. It was just about putting him in the right environment.
Yeah, I think when I saw him in his first year at Dortmund, he looked an outstanding player. The second year, he didn't look quite so good. And I saw him play a couple of times last year, and I thought, I'm not sure he's the player that I was expecting, because I'd seen him play at England youth level and for Manchester City youth team when he was there. An outstanding player, best player in England at that age. And when he went to Manchester United and started off, I thought, this is the player I saw last year at Dortmund that wasn't playing particularly well. But, as you mentioned, he's starting to come to the fore. He's starting to make the right decisions. He's starting to take people on. He's not just he's using his tricks for the right reasons rather than just using the tricks for the sake of using them. So I think he'll develop into a good signing. I
agree with you. Jack Grealish, not so sure. Started poorly or slowly as well. He had some decent games, but nothing special. He's also a £100 million transfer. Sorry, I'm not sure when we will see the best of Jack Grealish. I'm not sure if he's suited for City, if City are suited for him either. This one could be even more disappointing.
When he was at Aston Villa, what would you say his main attribute was?
Running with the ball,
going past people, beating 3 or 4 players, showing great. But sometimes he'd pick the ball up on the halfway line and just run past people with the ball with great strength and physicality and skill. I think he's now at a team that he's expected not to give the ball away. So he's frightened to go past people. So he stops and thinks, oh no, I'll pass it square, I'll pass it backwards. I'll just keep the move going. And he's lost his confidence and ability to go past people at the moment. So I think it's been a fairly poor start for the season for him.
I agree with you. David Alaba is another one that moved from Bayern to Real Madrid on a free as well. And that has worked out really well. He's been fantastic, whether at left back or at centre back, him and Militao forming a really, really good partnership.
Great partnership. Militao has been brilliant this season, but I think he's been helped by Alaba playing next to him. And what Alaba does well, particularly against the weaker sides, when they need to overload midfield and create more opportunities, Alaba steps out from the back, he joins in, plays it wide and goes again. Quite often see him in attacking areas. And as you said, sometimes they play Nacho at centre-half, and Alaba, when Mendy's not been fit, Alaba plays at left-back and shows a different side to his game. He's not quite the defender that he was maybe 2 or 3 years. People can go, but he hasn't got the blistering pace anymore.
No.
But has he been good? Yes, he has.
Another free transfer was Gigi Donnarumma, moving from Milan to PSG. And for him, it's been difficult because there's Keylor Navas, who's there, who's outstanding in Paris for the last 2 years, who Pochettino is really close to. And I think that's why we see the rotation. Donnarumma plays a bit, then it's Navas, then it's Donnarumma again, etc., etc. But Donnarumma has put some really good games for PSG. The one against City when they won at home at the Parc des Princes 2-0 in the group stages. He was amazing in that game. So he's had some really, really good moments. His time will come, the time where he will start every single game.
It's funny how that Courtois had the same problem when he went to Real Madrid.
Of course.
Keylor Navas was there. The crowd loved Keylor Navas.
Exactly.
Courtois came into the team. The crowd booed Courtois. They wanted Navas back into the side. And the same problem, I don't think the crowd haven't got onto Donnarumma, but he's had the same problem. He's got to try and win over everybody because everybody likes Keylor Navas as a goalkeeper.
You're right.
And you're right. I think he's looking at maybe next year, the year after, to be the number one in Europe.
The number one,
and he's just had to bide his time.
Yeah, exactly. And finally, Antoine Griezmann, another disappointment. Really, he's only scored 3 goals in La Liga in 16 games. I think he did a bit better in the Champions League, 4 goals in 5, but injured, and when not injured, in an Atletico team that has been struggling. To be fair, struggling for goals, struggling for the right system, the right style of play, all of that. And Griezmann has been, I guess, at the level of the rest of the team.
A big part of that. When I've seen him play, I've been really disappointed. I'm thinking, come on, give me something. What are you going to do? Are you going to run past people with the ball? Are you going to pick out a pass? Are you going to score a goal from 30 yards? There's been 1 or 2 moments. But he just seems to have lost confidence, lost his athleticism. It hasn't been working for him at Atletico Madrid. I thought going back there would rebuild his career, but it hasn't done so, I'm afraid.
No.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.